Hello students. Previous day I talked about present indefinite tense and its transformation rules. In this video I will throw light on past indefinite tense. Okay. I think the concept of present indefinite tense is clear to you. So let's talk about past indefinite tense. Okay, before that let me tell you something. The term tense is used in English language to describe the occurrence of verb. I mean the time frame of the action taking place. We know the basic categorization of tense is that it can exist in three forms, which are past, present and future. This means that a verb also comes in three forms. Okay, what are these three forms? The three form of verb is what? The base form, okay, which we use mainly in present tense. Okay, so it can also be called present form. The second is past form and the third one is past participle. Past participle. And these three are known as P1, P2 and P3 respectively. Okay. So I told you that verb also comes in three forms, and these three forms are base form, past form and past participle form. P1, P2 and P3. Okay, let me take some example like watch, W-A-T-C-H. Watch means we know the past form will be watched and the past participle is the same. Stand, second form is stood, third form also stood. Come, came, come. Okay. See, saw, seen. These are the forms of verb. A verb can have three forms. First form is present form, that is base form, and the second is past form, and the third one is past participle form. A verb is said to be in past tense when the action it is describing has taken place at point in the past. Okay. Here I have given you a short definition of verb. A verb is what? It defines the tense of the sentence. Okay. Through looking at verb, we can say that in which tense this sentence is. Now, let's talk about past indefinite tense. Past indefinite tense indicates that the action described in a sentence has happened before and is not a current happening. Are you getting me? Past indefinite tense indicates that the action described in a sentence has happened before and is not a current happening. Okay? So, when we will say any sentence of past indefinite tense, here the verb will be of second form. Okay? So, the second form of verb, when it is used in a sentence, described the thing that the action has taken place at point in the past. Are you getting me? I am talking super slowly so that you can understand what I am trying to make you understand. Okay. So what is past indefinite tense? Past indefinite tense indicates that the action described in a sentence has happened before and is not a current happening. Okay, let me take an example of past indefinite tense. She watched, watched, she watched television. When we will say a sentence that has happened in the past and not a current happening, always we will use the second form of verb after the subject. Okay, here the subject is she and then the second form of verb be to. Okay, and then object. Here the subject is she and then the verb is in the second form of verb, that is watched. Okay, and the object, she watched television. Here you can see that the example indicates that the action of watching was an event of the past. The action of watching television was an event of the past and it's not talking about the present action. Okay, and the verb we use in a past tense is always its second form. Okay, let's take another example. The boy stood at the bus stop. Here we have used subject as the boy. Okay, the boy is acting as the subject of the sentence, and then we used verb and this is the second form of verb, that is stood. Then the object, at the bus stop. The boy stood at the bus stop. This example is also that of past indefinite tense. Notice that the second form of verb stood is used, which represents that time of action to be of past. Okay, the time of action to be of past. That means this action has happened in the past. In this way, you will form a sentence of past indefinite tense by simply putting the subject, and after the subject you have to put the second form of verb and then the object. She watched television. The boy stood at the bus stop. Okay, let me give you some other examples. Okay, I went to bed early yesterday. Here, by looking at this word, we can guess it that this sentence is talking about somewhere happened in the past. Okay, I went to bed early yesterday. When I was giving you the examples of present indefinite tense, there I have told you an example of the same kind where I have used go. I go to bed early every day. I go to bed early every day, where I have used the first form of verb, that is go. But here, when I am talking about the past tense, the verb is in past form, that is the second form of verb. Okay, and the subject is I, and the second form of verb is went. I went to bed early yesterday. Let's take one more example. Rahul came home very late last night. Here the one word we can find here, that is last night. Okay, Rahul came home very late last night. What it is talking about? It's talking about Rahul's actions of coming late home last night. Okay, Rahul came home very late last night. In this way, you will form sentences of past indefinite tense. Okay, another example. Last year we traveled to Darjeeling. Okay, last year we traveled to Darjeeling. Because of this word, you can say that the sentence is in past indefinite tense and the subject and the second form of verb. Last year we traveled to Darjeeling. Got it? With the passage of time, you can understand all the English sentences I am saying to you. It is for your benefit. Okay? In my first video, I have told you that the more you will listen, the more your speaking will be improved. That's why I am talking every sentences in English. Okay? So these are the things you have to keep in mind when you will go to form a past indefinite tense. Okay? Previous day I have talked about present indefinite tense and today I have talked about past indefinite tense. Try to find out the difference between these two tense. Okay? Then you can understand. In my next video, I will talk about how will you transform a sentence of past indefinite tense into a negative and an interrogative one. Okay? That's it for today about tense. Okay? Now, someone of you have asked me about the classification of verb. The student was telling me that ma'am, verb is divided into two parts. Primarily divided into two parts. Okay, that is. Okay, let me take another pen. Finite verb and non-finite verb. Finite verb is further divided into two parts: main verb and auxiliary verb. And we all of us are well known about this part of verb, that is finite verb, main verb, auxiliary verb. Okay, but many of us have a little knowledge about non-finite verb. Okay, before I further divide this non-finite verb, let me tell you something, that what is finite verb and what is non-finite verb. Finite verb is something to looking at what we can tell the tense of a sentence. Okay, when we will use finite verb in a sentence, it will indicate the tense of the sentence. As because finite verb is divided into main verb and auxiliary verb, and this is sufficient to identify a sentence, that what is the tense of the sentence. Got it? Finite verb always will tell you the tense of the sentence, but the non-finite verb will never tell you the tense of the verb. Okay, let me make it more clear to you. A non-finite verb is a verb form that does not show tense. In other words, I can say it in this way also. You cannot tell if a sentence is in the past tense, present tense or future tense by looking at a non-finite verb. Clear? Therefore, a non-finite verb is never the main verb in a sentence. Okay. There are three types of non-finite verbs. Got it? By looking at non-finite verb, we cannot identify a sentence's tense. Okay, about which time this sentence is talking, we cannot tell by looking at the non-finite verb. This is the work of finite verb. Finite verb will only tell you the tense of the sentence, but the non-finite verb is totally different from this finite verb. Okay. Non-finite verb is divided into three parts: gerunds, infinitives, and the last one is participle. Participles. Okay, I have written here participles because participles is further divided into two types: present participle and past participles. Okay, I will discuss all these things in detail in my next videos, because you can remember one thing, that here I have written something, that after tense I will go to these topics. Okay, phrases, clauses, modals, gerunds, infinitives, okay, and participles. When I will discuss these things, then I will make non-finite verb clear to you. Now just know this thing, that non-finite verb will not show the tense of a sentence, and it is divided into three parts: gerunds, infinitive, and participles. Let me give you some examples so that you can get some idea. Gerunds: baking, singing. Infinitives: to bake, to sing, okay, to say. In this way you can. The participles: also baking, baked, baking, baked. I will discuss all these things in detail in my upcoming videos. Okay, so let's take one example of gerunds. Okay, let me tell you something more, that non-finite verbs function as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs in a sentence. Got it? Finite verb only work as a verb in a sentence. But non-finite verb will works as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. Got it? So let me give some example. Mary is interested in reading books. Here you can find this verb with ing. Now tell me that whether this form of verb is defining the sentence's tense. No. We can tell the sentence is in present indefinite tense by looking at the auxiliary verb is. Mary is interested in reading books, but we cannot say that this sentence is in present indefinite tense by looking at this non-finite verb, that is reading. Okay, when the verb is used with ing, to bake, okay, with to, and adding ed, d, and ing, then these forms of verb are called non-finite verb. Another example: I saw them crossing the street. Okay, here the tense of the verb is past indefinite. We can tell it by seeing the second form of verb, that is saw. I saw them. But you cannot say this sentence is in past indefinite tense by looking at this form of verb, that is crossing. Got it? So this type of verbs are called non-finite verbs. which is used in a sentence as adjectives, as adverbs, as nouns, okay, but not as a verb. Got it? I think it's clear to you. Let's take another example. She will go to the wedding house to decorate the bride. Got it? She will go to the wedding house to decorate the bride. Here we can see that decorate is a verb, but this decorate with to is not telling us that the sentence is in future. When we can tell the sentence is in future by looking at this form of verb, that is she will go to the wedding house, that is in future tense. But we cannot say this tense is in future by looking at this to decorate, by looking at this form of the verb. She will go to the wedding house to decorate the bride. Okay, so here the decorate, to decorate, is the example of non-finite verb. Okay, I will discuss all these things and give plenty of examples of sentences in my upcoming videos. Okay, now I think it's clear to you. Thank you.